Hey, welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia Radio Show. Time to talk a little fishing with the Pecos Valley Bassmasters and Joby Houghtaling. Joby, first of all, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I had a little head cold coming back from Los Lunas last Saturday night. I could feel it. You know how you feel it kind of just build in your nose and your throat? And I told my wife when we were driving back, I said, I'm going to have to take some medicine when we get home because I can feel it coming on. So sure enough, Sunday I took the day off, ended up not going to church, and then Monday kind of took the day off. But I was feeling better, but my voice was just weak. I had a little bit of a cough, which I've kind of kept. I don't feel bad at all, but my voice just was getting weaker and weaker. And then I called 4 games for us on Thursday, and then 4 more on Friday. And by that 4th one, my voice was pretty much gone. And so, thankfully, and I don't know if you orchestrated it or if because Danny Parker texted me during the girls' game and said, "Hey, I just went home. I heard you on the radio. Do you want some help?" And I don't know if I didn't ask him.
That was all on Danny.
That was Danny. So
that was all on Danny.
And I appreciated that. And I said, "You bet. If you want to come down here and sit, because I know he's done it with you before, and Danny's got a great voice, and he's part of the school and knows he loves the Bulldogs and knows the sports." So the second game, and I told him after we finished up there, the second half, I kept talking during, kind of doing play-by-play during the girls' game, but between the girls and the boys, I said, "Danny, I'm gonna give it to you if that's okay." And he goes, "Sure, I don't mind." So
yeah,
one of the things I thought was funny, and you'll appreciate this, Gene, and I think it's okay to say it here on over the air. During one of the breaks, he tells me, he goes, back in the day when I used to be involved with Gene, and he had me help doing some of these things. He goes, video wasn't involved, so he said, me and Jim Wilbur say whatever, nobody knew.
That's right. Yeah, we didn't have internet. We weren't streaming. We weren't all over the world, you know.
And he said, so if we said somebody's name, well, that's what it was.
That's right.
Because there was some calls during the game and I didn't mean to do it the way it probably came across, like I was correcting him, but I was just saying, "Oh, no, that was so-and-so." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, sorry about that." And so then a couple of breaks, he told me that, and I thought that was funny. Because, one of the things that we do now, of course, Robbie and I, is we want, and I know y'all did too. I'm not saying you didn't want to be accurate, but you weren't nearly as worried about it because you were on the radio, nobody could see. And he said, and especially the other teams, he goes, Jim was real bad about it. He said Jim would he'd say the same name every time.
That's right. Well, he got that from, what's his name? He used to be at the newspaper, Rick Hassler.
Oh, yeah.
And Rick was kind of like, well, I just make up a name. If I don't know the name, I just make it up. I just call him Smith.
Right.
And he and Jim would talk a lot, and that's where some of that came from. But, yeah, we have to be a little more aware of that on the road. Well, I'll give you something else. Sometimes it doesn't help. I'm sitting there, and I had the program.
Right.
And I'm filling out my sheets for the 2 Artesia games.
Right.
And his name is Wesson. No.
His name is Diego Wesson, but on the roster sheet they had a different name.
Jimenez.
I know, and they had a different name.
And I hadn't called any games yet. I've heard you guys call it. So I wrote it down, and I didn't. And I took a picture of the book, but I didn't, And so I'm, Jimenez, who's, and then they make a basket, and you go, who's Wesson?
Right.
And then I finally put 2 and 2 together and got 7 and scratched it out and put the right name on my sheet.
And truthfully, I had to do that too the very first game because I was looking at it, but because I called him so much in football.
Right, you knew.
Well, it took me a minute though, even though I had been doing it. I can certainly see where you haven't been making the call.
Yeah.
And also, why would you? And that's happened to me as it has happened to you then, and I'm sure it's happened to you before. When you have a roster that comes from what's supposed to be the verified source, and you look at the book, you don't really check every single name because it should be right. You make an assumption. Maybe I shouldn't. I'm bad about that.
And I'll go take a picture of the book and then I'll compare because I want to make sure, did they add a player that came on late that wasn't on the original roster? Are there some kids that are not there that I need to scratch off?
Or just changes in the roster.
Numbers different.
Because that happened to me this last weekend where if I would have, because I didn't go over and take a picture of the book, this particular game I'm talking about, and when they started announcing the players, the numbers and the names weren't matching up, and I had to make quick adjustments on my sheet.
Yeah.
Hopefully, they were for the other teams, and hopefully I got them right for those that were watching. And I don't know what the final numbers were, but as I would peer at it on Facebook once in a while just to see some of those other games, and there were definitely people watching.
Oh, yeah.
There were people watching, and it may have been some Artesia folks, but probably from those other schools. And so hopefully we did a good job. I'm embarrassed. My voice got so bad I did the public a disservice by trying to continue to announce. But at least you bailed me out, and Danny bailed me out in game 2.
Danny jumped in.
Yeah.
Well, it was weird because my crew this weekend was Joby, Danny, Andy, Chloe, Danny, Katie.
I see a trend.
And Pam.
Yeah, and Pam. I knew that was coming, but I saw the trend.
And Tanner. And Tanner was
we'll
also.
Call Pammy and Tannery.
But no, everybody did a fantastic job. We had some great shots and a lot of people watching. And then Tanner, that's why I was there all day Saturday, because Tanner was producing the 2 All-Star games.
Gotcha.
And did a fantastic job. He had another cancellation on his crew. He called his dad
to come and push him.
And his dad came down and was running one of the cameras down on the field so we could get our deal. And I thought Scott and Josh did a great job. And appreciate the hard work that those guys do. Before we run out of time, you have a couple of news items for the Pecos Valley Bassmasters.
Well, nothing real new except that we lost a member last week. One of our longtime members passed away. I guess was it last? I think I lose track of time because where we've been the last 2 weeks. But Terry Tidwell passed away last Monday morning, and so let the public know that, and people that knew Terry was he's such a good, kind man. I think he was in his 70s. He wasn't a young guy by any stretch, but still, you hate to lose anybody. And Terry passed away last week, and I was talking to. Of course, I've talked to members. We put a statement out on our stuff, social media for Pecos Valley Bassmasters, and a lot of pictures of Terry, and he was just one of those really good guys, just always in a good mood, funny. Was always willing to do anything for anybody, and so we're going to miss Terry. Mm-hmm. His funeral is actually going to be the 18th, and I'm going to put some stuff out there with our club, but I thought I would say it here this morning. His family has asked for the Pecos Valley Bassmasters, anybody that can attend the funeral, to be honorary pallbearers and actually walk with the pallbearers. So, and then also they ask if we would wear our fishing shirts. So whatever, okay. Like I've got a couple of jerseys. Anybody that in our club that wants to, they're all invited to be honorary pallbearers. I think some of them are actually going to be pallbearers, and then the rest of the club is asked if they can attend to be honorary pallbearers and wear their fishing jerseys, whatever wear one. And Terry wasn't, I don't think, a lifelong bass angler, but his later years in life, he really got involved with the Pecos Valley Bassmasters and really enjoyed it, and a lot of friendships there that he made, and of course has friends, I'm sure, across the spectrum in life. But just a small piece of him was with us, and so we're going to try to honor him in that way in terms of being the honorary pallbearers, and or some of them are going to be actual pallbearers. And then it was suggested to me that if we do have a big group of members show up, I may have an impromptu meeting. I'm going to, because we're going to try to have a meeting to talk about next year. So anybody out there listening, we may not have it that day. I mean, after the funeral, it just depends, I guess. But for those listening, we are going to have a meeting. I am planning a meeting, hopefully this month. It's always tough in December because there's so much going on with Christmas upcoming, and then New Year's, and a lot of companies have their Christmas parties. They have various things happening, so it's usually difficult because every night seems like it's covered up by something.
That's right.
And you got a lot of conflicts. But if we don't have it in December, a meeting, then we will definitely have one the first week or two in January, so that the membership out there and anybody that wants to join in, and I've talked about this at length a few times prior to today with Eugene, that we do have a lot of interest in people outside that have not joined before, and some people that were members previous years and now they're coming back. And so if you're one of those people, make sure you know that, yes, we are going to be having a meeting. If you haven't already reached out to me, you can go to our website, pvbm.club, and all of my contact information is there if you go under About Us. Mm-hmm. And they can reach me via text, phone call, email, whatever they want to reach out if they haven't already, to let me know they're planning on joining. And the reason I say that is because they can also click the Join Now button. It's going to produce a PDF. They can fill that information out, email it to us, And then I've got you, and I can add you to our email list so that when the planning stuff starts going out via email, you'll get one.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? That to people that might be listening that are thinking about joining next year. So that's what we've got coming up at Pecos Valley Bassmasters. We're also obviously still involved with New Mexico Bass Nation, and there's a lot of things going on there. As the as the treasurer for the state organization, I'm these last 2 weeks I've been kind of I haven't been very visible with New Mexico Bass Nation. There's been a lot of emails back and forth, and I need to get on the horse this week and reply to some of those things. But just because of my schedule, I hadn't been. But anyway, long story short, we do have we're planning a great year next year for the Pecos Valley Bassmasters.
Very good. I think I found one of the pictures. Is that one of the pictures of Terry?
It is Terry Tidwell right there.
Yeah,
that's a good picture of Terry and a good smallmouth bass he caught. That's probably at I don't remember which lake that was at, but that is probably Conscious or Ute. New Mexico Lake would be my guess, but a beautiful smallie and a good size one too. I don't remember the weight on that particular one, but it was a 3-4 pounder, and maybe 5. But Terry, just a really good guy. We're going to miss him. And again, his funeral is, I believe it's Saturday, December 18th. I think that's a Saturday.
Yes.
Saturday, December 18th
Saturday,
at 2 o'clock at Denton Funeral Home in Carlsbad.
Okay.
That's where the funeral will be for those that might be interested. And for our club members, I will get some information out to you in the next day or two, a little more information. So if you can attend and you want to and be one of the honorary pallbearers, you'll have that information.
Excellent. Well, Joby, thank you so much. And you can go to the Facebook page, Pecos Valley Bassmasters on Facebook.
Yep.
Or on the website, but the pictures are on that page.
Yeah, there's some on Facebook too, so they can see those.